This morning, the suspect in the Moscow, Idaho murders case returns to the courtroom. But instead of more pre-trial motions, Bryan Kohberger is expected to change his plea after agreeing to a deal with prosecutors. We have live team coverage of this latest phase in the case this morning. King 5's Jim Nelson is in Boise, where the line is forming to get into the courthouse for the hearing that is slated to begin about 4 hours from now. But before we check in with him, Drew Andre is live in studio for us. So, Drew, you're walking us through the plea deal that is expected later on today. What can we expect?
Right, Christine. Well, we know there's a few possible outcomes today. The judge accepts the plea and we will move towards sentencing, or Kohberger or the judge rejects the plea deal. In that case, the trial would push forward. Legal experts say, though, that would be a surprise. Now, since this news came out, we're hearing mixed reactions from the victims' families. The parents of Ethan Chapin from Skagit County support the plea deal, according to their spokesperson, while the parents of Kaylee Gonsalves said they're furious with the state's decision.
We'll never see this as justice. This isn't what we should be doing. You don't deal with terrorists, and you don't deal with people who kill your kids in their sleep.
And sources close to the case told King 5 families received 2 letters, one laying out the terms of the plea deal, then another saying Kohberger accepted. The terms: Kohberger must plead guilty to all the murder charges, and he must waive all rights to appeal. The plea is in exchange for a sentence of life without parole, taking execution off the table. The final decision, though, today, Christine, will have to be approved by Judge Stephen Hippler in court.
All right, thank you very much, Drew. We're going to be following that. Now, let's get to Boise, where King 5's Jim Nelson is right outside the Ada County Courthouse right now. So, Jim, it's very early right now. Was that line forming even before you arrived?
Yeah, Christine, the line is starting to form. What we're getting from court officials is that a total of 50 people will be allowed in to observe. That's a combination of members of the public as well as members of the media. There's a separate total, a separate count for families and those a little bit more directly involved in the case. And that line has been forming. That's it right here, right at the entrance to the Ada County Courthouse. So that line is forming. And then obviously this was so unexpected that it's really sent so many different people from so many different parts of the country into mobilization mode. So obviously we're seeing local and national media here starting to gather outside the courthouse in anticipation of this hearing, which again is scheduled for 10 o'clock Pacific time. Drew laid it out. There are a couple of different options, and that's been a lot of the buzz, both in the line and both throughout, as well as throughout the community, of what will happen. Because this was so unexpected, the fact that this plea deal has essentially come out of nowhere, there really is no indication of what we may expect other than what would be standard procedure, which Drew obviously outlined. So we expect those are the options on the table, but of course we'll wait and see. If anything we've learned through the course of this case is that there are so many twists and turns. So we'll see if things go to plan based on what we think. But again, we won't know until that hearing starts at 10 o'clock. A lot of attention on this, a lot of focus on this, with so much mixed reaction. As Drew again laid out, we'll see where things go and then what that reaction is once we get what we think will be a little finality. Live in Boise, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. We know you and the team will be following this closely all throughout the day, and stick with King 5 News for all of the breaking developments from the courtroom today. Again, that hearing begins right at 10 a.m. You can also join us here on King 5 and on our app, King 5 Plus, for live coverage from Boise throughout the morning.